Welcome. This is Healing Arts Academy My Way, where we introduce to you people from different walks of life. Today with a very interesting subject, spiritual awareness. And I have a tricky question along the way, so I'm gonna ask it at the right time. Tonight my guest is Marc from Genuine Thunder. He has worked with the spirit side for the past couple of decades to become an author, healer, instructor, and lecturer. We're here to talk about, as I said, spiritual awareness. Thank you for being with us, Marc.
How you doing, Ariel?
Doing great. Happy to have you here. Marc, is there a difference between, or is there a divorce between spirituality and religion?
Yes, they are two completely different things because one is a man-made methodology. And when you're dealing with spiritual awareness, it's something completely different because we are actually spirit entities having a physical experience. We are not physical beings trying to be spiritual. And people need to come into this awareness because it opens up a great new level of understanding for them. So when religion is something that we're taught after we get here. And so it doesn't come with us in our spirit. It's not inherently part of us. It doesn't come from source consciousness. It's entirely man-made. So people have a choice. Like there's nothing wrong. There's a lot of people that have attained spiritual awareness being within religious circles and that they have attained this and they have moved on beyond all the what I want to call dogma and precepts and everything within their organizations that they join or they choose to. But some people just choose to be part of a group, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they, like I said, some of them do attain that spiritual connection directly with source without having to follow the ideologies of those religions.
So to connect, would you not need religion? Is that what you're saying?
No, because all religions are based on deities, and so what they do is they put like a deity on a pedestal, and then they idolize the deity, where we get a greater connection if we just go directly to the spirit side. So we don't need somebody in the middle doing this for us. This is part of us. This is part of our consciousness that we're down here, that we can communicate directly to source, to consciousness, whether, you want to call it source, God, creator, whatever you want to call it. It's already within us. It's already there. We all have the ability to go direct. We don't need somebody in the middle being there doing it for us. And this is where the awareness comes into. But like I said, this isn't to criticize anybody that's there. Like if that's what they choose, that's what they choose. So everybody's different. It's what people are willing to accept. It's what it is.
So speaking to the spirit does not need a long distance call, huh?
No, it's already here with us. Yeah.
It's a part of us, isn't it?
It is. And like I said, we are spirit entities. The Genuine Thunder platform that I've created, like it's not a self-help platform, it's a self-awareness platform. And there's a huge difference here. Because when people need to come into the awareness that, like I mentioned earlier, that we are spirit entities having a physical experience, and we come down here for these journeys of learning and growth, and so that we grow in spiritually on spirit side, and we also come down here to assist each other on their journeys. So I've had it described from spirit side directly to me that they said what happens is that you decide that you want to come down to the physical world, and so you work with all your guides and teachers, and they will show you all these different scenarios, and they will take you all across the globe, and they will take you to other worlds too, and the choice is yours where you want to go to, and they will show you all these different scenarios and all these different people around you, and you have arrangements with other entities also, so other spirit entities that are around you in consciousness before we even get to this planet, and then we choose where we want to go to. So we pick who our parents are going to be. Right, and so we're going to pick who our mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and everything else. We pick this before we arrive here, and then what happens is in our own higher state of consciousness, it becomes in utero, goes into the womb, and we bring ourselves into physical manifestation. So it's our own higher consciousness that brings our fingers and our nose and eyes and everything into manifestation, into this physical world. We do it ourselves through consciousness, and it's actually a very incredible process. And so as part of this process, what happens is We are born into the physical world. And because we chose to be part of that family unit that we selected before we come here, we'll take on the appearances of them. So we will look similar to them, right? And this is what it will be for our journey. So as part of this process, we have amnesia, and amnesia is part of the process that we don't remember all these different incarnations that we come to, because we've been coming to these physical worlds for eons of time. And I can't even put a label on it. I'm not even going to put a number on it, because I asked that myself one time. I asked Spirit Side, I'll go, how many times, how old is the earth? And, they just told me, try to count the stars. Right? They said, it's vast. They said, don't try to paint these pictures that can't be painted. And they said, just be at one with what you are and where you are in that moment. And so we have to come into the realization that these human vessels, they couldn't contain the consciousness of knowing. Could you imagine trying to know all your previous lifetimes and all the times that you've been down here, and knowing who your husbands, your wives, your mothers, fathers, lovers, brothers, sisters, friends, everybody were in all those previous lifetimes, and trying to bring all that memory into these vessels here? You couldn't even hold it into consciousness, because these vessels are sort of too fragile for that. Because they couldn't handle the memory of all of this. So in your higher state of consciousness, in your spirit body, you have full awareness of all of this. You have full awareness of all your previous journeys, who you were in your previous lifetimes, and all the lessons that you went through at that time. So when we come down here, the amnesia is very important, because the amnesia allows us to create new. So we don't come back here and try to pick up some of our bad habits from before, or do whatever we did before, or try to, like we have a whole new clean slate for us here, and we can create a new experience for ourselves. And we will discover in this journey, when we come along, we're going to encounter certain people in this journey, and when they cross our path, it's like, and everybody's pretty much had this experience. It was like you meet this person all of a sudden. It's like, hey, it feels like I know you from somewhere. We've never met, but I feel like I know you, and we know them, and you feel so familiar to me. And the majority of the time, you do. You know them from either spirit side, or you know them from a previous incarnation, because we do travel together. We have arrangements before we come down here with each other in consciousness. We have arrangements with each other that, I will be there at this point in time, and I will assist you on your journey, and you will be there to assist me on my journey. And this great love and healing that takes place from spirit side that comes down here, it's just a magnificent experience for everybody that's here, if they come into the awareness of it. So, but what happens is that we will see things like we will see infant children that they will come up to their parents, and say that the young child will start talking to its mother, and it may only be like 2 or 3 years old, and the parent will say something to its mother like, I don't remember you being my mummy. I had a different mummy. And they start freaking the parent out, because wondering what's going on here, what's happening, right? And this has happened multiple times. But what is happening is the child is remembering, because the children are still in the full awareness of the consciousness coming down, right? So sometimes that information will leak through with them. It'll come through with them that, this is who I was in my previous journey. I know who I was in this previous lifetime. I did this, that, and the other. And they have full awareness, and they can explain it in explicit detail. And it's because they are still connected with that consciousness. And I'm sorry, I used the wrong word, that they are still in full remembrance of that consciousness. We are always connected with the consciousness. We choose whether or not we use to create the obstacles to block it out. So as we grow, what happens is there's different things that will come along, people's belief systems, or the parents or the people around them, they may come along, and maybe the child's expressing different gifts in certain ways. Like the child will oh, well, grandma was here and she was talking to me, and grandma was here, but meanwhile grandma and grandpa are long gone. And so
thank you for bringing that up. What could we tell those who are around those children that are doing that? What suggestions could we give them? They're not crazy or anything. That's real. But what could you tell the parents?
The parents need to come into the awareness that these children are actually seeing and talking to them. They're there. These are spirit entities that appear. okay? And they appear for them to see, and they will manifest in front of the beings. And every single one of us on this planet has the ability to do this. It's just that they block it out. The children are so pure still that they see this all the time, right? And so they will see these things, and they will, and this will happen often. Like, the child will wake up in the middle of the night and it's like, oh, well, I saw this person keeps coming to visit me. And, or grandma keeps talking to me, or they can describe in detail what a past family member is that has passed on. And they can describe in detail what they look like to the disbelief of the parents or whoever else is around them. And they're accurate. And so this is just proof to them. So the child is just there helping them with their awareness themselves. And so they should encourage the children. They shouldn't stifle them, because if they try to stifle them, what they do is they close the door to that consciousness awareness within the children. And could you imagine if you were able to experience your entire journey, and you were able to communicate with higher consciousness and able to communicate with spirit side right from an infant through your entire life? How much easier would that be for you? And this is why I say we don't need somebody to do this for us. We go direct. We have the ability to communicate directly with spirit side. Every one of us has this. Every one of us. Okay, it's not something special. It's not a special gift. I know they try to slap labels on these children and say, oh, they're special and everything else. They're not special. They're just showing what we all have the ability to do, and we have just closed off. And it's a choice that we did this. We created these obstacles.
How old were you when you started realizing that you could do certain things and stuff? And was it scary for you? What did your family think about?
No, I've never ever, like, I've known since I was a child that the spirit side existed, and my family actually encouraged it. My mother was always into it. She always had the awareness of it. Even my sister, she had the awareness of it. And so, like, we always had the awareness of this around us. And I've known since a child, and it's never scared me. I always thought it was awesome. I always thought it was like exciting, and this is great. This is awesome. Like, we're still connected with home, right? Because that's our truth.
And you would go and tell other people or not?
And when you're younger, you tend not to, right? But what I found happens is that it just comes out. Like, there's certain things that you may say in a certain way, or you may say things and you don't realize you're doing it at that time, but you're actually assisting these people on their journey because you yourself aren't in the full awareness of it, right? And it's when you come into the full awareness that things change, right? Because there's a lot of mediums in this world, like people that practice mediumship and everything else, and they're not even aware of this. Even though they're talking to spirit side and they're talking to spirit entities, but they're not even in the full awareness of it because they never ventured in there. They never asked those questions. So instead, they were still there. There's a lot of people that communicate with spirit side, and they're mired in the novelty of spirit side. They're just mired in the novelty that, old Aunt Becky showed up and she, told us about her cookie recipe or whatever it may be. And it's like, well, ask Aunt Becky some questions. What's it like on spirit side? What are you doing over there? Right? Start asking the real questions. And then you start to learn. And so, we've received some incredible information over the years, like just dealing in direct communication and consciousness and dealing with different forms of mediumship. And it's just amazing the information you get. And the greater the intent and purity of what you're asking, the greater response you will receive, right? And there's something about, the free will comes into play here. Free will is a very big thing because every single spirit entity and every single physical being is granted free will by source. This is natural law. This is immutable. No spirit entity or man-made laws can change this, right? And so we're all granted free will. So on spirit side, when even when we communicate in consciousness, they're not allowed to give you anything that will cause you to make a decision. So this is why many times, like, people will seek out a medium and they will ask certain questions and they don't get what they want. So what do? They go to the next one and they try to get the same answer, and it's like, it's still the same spirit world, right? So they go to the next one, but they're not getting the answer they want, and they're not realizing that spirit side will not give us anything to cause us to make a decision. And they do this out of great love for us because they're not allowed to interfere in our free will. They're not allowed to interfere in those decisions that we make for ourselves. But what they will do is they will give you a lot of pieces of the puzzle, and it's up to us to put the puzzle together. And if you're paying attention, and you can ask, so if something's brought to you from spirit side or brought to you through medium or whoever else, if something is brought to you and you're uncertain of the message itself, and you're uncertain of whether or not it's a pure message that you're receiving, you can just send it up through consciousness yourself and ask yourself. So get your own approval and question everything. Question everything, right? They will always assist us. And so now, based on this knowledge, there's something else that we need to deal with to come into the awareness of oneself. Because we do have these limitations when dealing with the spirit guides and the teachers and everybody else that's around us, or if we decide to go to medium or however we decide to do it, right? There are some certain limitations in here, because part of our journey is to awaken to the higher consciousness. This is part of every single person's journey down here, that we are supposed to reawaken to the higher consciousness. And when you reawaken to the higher consciousness, you become into the realization that we are that spirit entity having a physical incarnation, and we are still connected with our own higher consciousness. So you can call it your higher consciousness, higher self, your spirit body, your soul, whatever you want to refer to it as, whatever label works for you and your understanding. Right?
How do you reconnect? What do you have to do to reconnect?
Well, the connection is always there, but again, this is where free will comes into play. So we have different states of our consciousness that we work with, right? And so we have our higher consciousness, we have our higher healing consciousness, and we have our higher thought consciousness. So these are the three different levels of consciousness that we come down with. You will find that anything that comes out of source creation is based on trinities. Trinity's the number 3. That's very important to understand also. You'll see Nikola Tesla, he even said, if you understand 3, 6, 9, you have the keys to the universe. This is what he's referring to, right? And it's the Trinity. So the Trinity is the number 3. That's the minimum requirement for stability. So for example, a table needs a minimum of 3 legs to stand, right? So everything built on source consciousness is built upon trinities. And that's how you know. So if it's coming from source, you're looking from spirit side, you're looking for messages coming, whatever, you will see it come 3 different ways to you. Okay. This is why we'll see a lot of things happen in trinities around us. This is why we see, a lot of people when they return back from spirit side, say you have somebody close around you that passes away. You find that there will be another one that's a couple months later or something, they will pass away. And then a short time later, another person will pass away. It always happens in 3s. Right? It always happens in 3s. We will see these patterns all over the place. So, what happens is that when we come into the awareness of our higher state of consciousness. So we come into the awareness that we have this trinity of these 3 different states of consciousness for each and every one of us that are here. So when we connect to our own higher consciousness connection, our spirit, our soul, whatever you want to call it, right? It resides inside our heart. That's where it is. Okay. So that is where our connection takes place to spirit side all the time. This is why sometimes when we are in areas and we're having conversations with people, or there's a lot of negativity, we'll feel a heaviness on our heart, right? And we come into the awareness is like, okay, there's a heaviness there. This isn't good for me, right? Or we will feel that there's a lightness in there. And so we will become aware that, okay, this is coming from source. I can feel the connection here. Like this is open here. So now we also have the ability to communicate with spirit side through our visual chakra. So our visual chakra is how we send the thoughts out to spirit side to communicate back and forth and to communicate with our own consciousness. So what we need to do is we need to connect. We do, this is an exercise that I was shown from spirit side to connect your higher state of consciousness in with your physical body. And if you want to do it, I'll show you now. Right? Okay. So what people do is you would place one hand over top of your visual chakra. You place one hand over your heart. You close your eyes, you move your vision to the middle of your forehead, and you send the thought out from the middle of your forehead. You send the thought out to spirit side, and you said, I ask my higher consciousness to please assist with all of my words, thoughts, actions, and deeds. I ask my higher consciousness to please assist with all my words, thoughts, actions, and deeds. I ask my higher consciousness to please assist with all of my words, thoughts, actions, and deeds. And then whenever you're ready, you come back. Now, what you've done is you, because of free will, even your own higher consciousness isn't even allowed to interfere with you. So now what you have done is you've allowed your own higher consciousness to come forward and assist you. Now, I asked that question one time, well, can't we just let them take over? And they said, no, right? Because you still have a physical responsibility. You still have a responsibility to your physical journey. So it's important that you are still part of this equation. So now, when you practice this on a daily basis, and you can do this as many times a day as you want, because some people, this feels comfortable to them. Like when they start doing this feels comfortable to them, and it's like a healing for them, right? And so they will keep connecting multiple times a day, and it doesn't matter. Do it 1,000 times a day if you want. So what'll happen now is every single time you do this, every day you do this, what I recommend with people is to do this first thing in the morning before they even get out of bed. Right when you wake up in the morning, this is the very first thing you do while you're still laying there, and then you get up. And then what you have done is you allowed your higher consciousness to assist you on your journey. The more you do this, the stronger and more stable that connection becomes for you. So you will start to discover over a period of time that you will that certain answers will come into your mind, right? And it's like a gentle leaf falling. Right? And it enters into our thought process. And we will all of a sudden have answers to certain things that we were perplexed with. So if you're having a problem with something, now that you've been doing this, you can send that thought up to your higher consciousness and ask, how do I navigate this situation? How do I navigate this situation I'm having difficulty with? And you will find very gently, the answer will fall right into your mind. And in the majority of the time, it's very simple, right? But now you're allowing your higher consciousness to work with you, and your higher consciousness is your own spirit guide. Okay. So you become your own medium now by doing these things. So when we do this, we will begin to have a greater understanding of our connection in this world. We will have we will start to heal ourselves, because now our higher healing consciousness comes into play. So if you're suffering from anxieties or anything else like this, we brought all the tools that we need for our journey with us. We brought everything with us. We are self-healing entities, and we have the ability to self-heal. Okay, but there's a key here. This ties in with self-love also. So you have to work on your own self-love, because self-love is extremely important. And I can tell you right now that the vast majority, and like I'm talking like 99.9% of this planet, needs self-love, right? Because when they have that self-love, they stop beating themselves up in their mind. They stop criticizing the way that they are. They stop thinking that they need to be like somebody else, or they have to compare themselves to other people, or they need this, that, or the other to belong, because they don't. You don't. You are an entity. You are of equality with every other entity on this planet. Nobody's better than anybody. Nobody on this planet is supposed to be in a leadership role. We're not supposed to have kings and queens and presidents and prime ministers. That's not the way it was intended here. It's gone off the rails. Everybody is of equality. We're supposed to be of equality, and nobody isn't supposed to be in a subordinate position. This is where your own self-love comes from, right? So when your own self-love comes into play, you start developing greater self-confidence. It removes your anxieties and your stresses. And there's a lot of people, like I've done a lot of healing work with people over the years, and they suffered a lot of different mental issues, and it all went back to one thing: self-love, right?
And how could we disconnect from our self-hate, probably, to our self-love? How do we go from one place to the other?
This is all connected. So remember the trinity: So the higher consciousness, higher healing consciousness, higher thought consciousness. So as we raise in consciousness by doing this connection each day, it becomes stronger and more stable. And what happens is you're going to find that you naturally start falling at a resonance with the lower vibrations around you. So you won't want to watch the TV, the legacy news anymore, because everything that they put out is fear-based. So we won't want to watch any of that. So, you know, and anything that's fear, you won't want to watch all the violent movies, and you're not going to be attracted to, you know, people yelling and screaming and things like that. You just fall out of resonance with all of this because your vibration separates from it, right? And you just see it. What you do is you sort of rise above all of that chaos, and you just kind of look down on it, and you just see it for what it is. And it's like, okay, well, that's what it is. If that's what those people choose to be, then that's okay. That's for them, right? Some people love their fear. They love their fear, right? They're addicted to their fear, and they don't want to let their fear go. So they will do everything they can to protect their fear. But you have a choice in this world. Like we come from an energy of pure love. And on spirit side, the word love doesn't even exist. It's an energy that is the part of the fabric of source consciousness. And it just is. It's like the air that we breathe, right? So on spirit side, it's not even a word. It's just there. It just is. And so that's what we come from. We come from this pure energy of love, of self-healing and everything else. But the problem is everybody, not everybody, but like the majority of people, they get disconnected from this, and they lose sight of this, right? And so you have a choice when you walk in this world. You can embrace the fear, or you can embrace the love. You can't have them both, because there's no room for one when the other is present. You have to pick which one you want. And that's a no-brainer, because if you're going to pick the fear, you're going to pick sickness, disease, you're going to pick mental instability, you're going to pick hatred. And what's going to happen is you're going to attract all of that around you, because again, natural law is at work. So you're going to attract all these people around you that are like this, because you choose these low vibrations. So, you know, like, and that's not who we are in our higher states of consciousness. We are a higher vibration. So if you choose instead to be the love that we are, you're going to raise in that consciousness. You're going to naturally heal yourself. You're going to fall out of resonance with all these low vibrations, and you're not going to want to be part of it. You will separate. As you raise in consciousness, some of you out there will lose certain friends around you, because you will start to see them for who they are. You will realize it's like, you know what? I don't really need to be around that person anymore, because I don't really like their behavior. Right? And you may try to assist them, but again, some people, they don't want it. They don't want any part of it, right? Because they love their fear. So they want to stay in that condition, right? So what happens, you know, again, so when we start connecting with that higher consciousness on a daily basis, we keep raising our vibration. And the more we do this, the stronger and more stable this becomes. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of people that will start doing this, and within 3 days, they will start to see proof that this is working for them. I've seen people come back in 24 hours, and they were all excited because they were telling me things 24 hours from starting it, that it's like, oh, wow, I had this experience, and they're excited, right? And they don't want to stop, because they love the energy once they're in there, right? And because we're connected back with that natural state of being. So now we come into the higher healing consciousness phase. So we're in the higher consciousness. We go to the higher healing consciousness. So the higher healing consciousness, that is our ability to self-heal. And so, you know, it's important. There's people that are, you know, in this world, they're looking for like healing type miracles and what have you. And you know, that the word miracle, it implies that people are sitting around waiting for something. Right. So, you know, the reality is if, you know, like, do you have enough self-love to allow source's healing energy to even move through you in the first place? Because when we have an infirmity in the body, it's an obstacle that was created in the body because there's a blockage of energy moving through our body. So do you have enough self-love to allow that energy to remove that blockage? And we're not going to call them obstacles, because it was a choice to put them there. It's not an obstacle. It's a blockage. There's a difference here, right?
Who made that choice? The person?
The person, right? And
Okay.
a lot of people are going to try. We got to be careful here too, because a lot of people are going to try and run with this and say, no, I don't have this disease or condition because I created it. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying, right? What I'm saying is, like there's a lot of things that will get people to like some people may have systemic disease within their body, whatever. People got to be aware of what the foods that they're eating, they're consuming,
Absolutely.
not just the diets they're consuming, but also what they're consuming into their mind, right? Because a lot of these things are damaging a lot of what they're consuming around them, the drugs, the alcohol, any toxins they're putting in their system. And,
The toxic people they might have around also.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, like there's a lot of things that can create these things in the body. So, like this is, so like I say, we're not specifically saying like some people will come into this world with medical conditions. They arrive in this world like this because they're bringing lessons to other people and to themselves. Okay. So there are different scenarios for different things. So a child may be born with a certain condition into this world, right?
Absolutely.
But the child would have, these children make that decision in higher consciousness to come through this way because they're bringing great lessons to people around them and also to themselves too, right? So you will see, I've seen some of these younger, I've done work with some of these children that had major medical conditions, and you look in their eyes and their eyes are alive and they're dancing. And some of them, like, they can't speak, like they can't, but they're communicating through their eyes, and you can see them because you can see that energy connection moving back and forth with them. And it's awesome. It's awesome. It's incredible.
It is.
Right. And you can see them physically smiling when you're connecting with them like this because they know, right? They know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
something key you said is basically you have to realize who you are so you can start loving yourself and getting in tune with all this. What do you think?
yes. Yeah. And that's all part of self-love. Self-love is very important. That's part of the healing. Anybody that's going on a healing journey has to work on self-love. Okay. And to get there, you have to start raising in consciousness to come into the awareness. Okay. And when you come into the awareness, now comes the next phase. You're going into your healing higher consciousness. You can ask your higher healing consciousness to help you remove conditions in your body, to help you remove anxieties and stresses and everything else. Now, there's something else. We have to remove all concept of time also, because clocks and calendars, they're man-made. They don't exist in the spirit world. Right? They measure time in events. So when we remove time, we remove stress in our life. Because when we look at the reality of it, that time causes a lot of stress for everybody in this world. And, because people, they're following clocks that, I got to be here at this certain time. I got to be here, and they're rushing and they're stressed. And, these people are driving around fast on the roads because they're stressed and they need to do this. People, I need to accomplish this by this time in my life. And so that they're putting incredible stress on themselves doing this, or saying, I must have a child by this time, or I must have this by this time, or I must achieve this by this age. And then it doesn't happen. So they may, say that, I wanted to live in a big mansion by the time I was 40, and it didn't happen. Right. So some of these people, they set up these dreams for themselves that they fell through. But the reality is like, remove these concepts of time. Like, why do you think you need to be there at this point in time, or you need to be at that point in time? Is that part of your journey to begin with? Were you supposed to be here? Were you supposed to do that? Right? So just remove the concept of time and just be in the fullness and awareness of what it is, and just be. Right? And so it removes your anxiety. So thinking that, this is very healing to a lot of people, because when you come into the realization that it's like, okay, so I'm just going to be, and things are going to occur as they're meant to occur. So I'm going to work with my higher consciousness. I'm going to ask for these things. So if you want spirit side to go to work with you, you have to ask them, because remember, free will is at play here. So if you have, like, there's a lot of people out there, and they give up personal responsibility because they will say, oh, well, I'll just let spirit side take care of it. No. You're the one on the physical journey. You're responsible for your own state of being. They are not responsible for it. But you can ask them. So you can say to them, can you please help me get to this where I want to be in life, and I would like to achieve this. Can you please help me get there? And now you have given them something to work with, and they will go to work with you.
You are the one who's driving. Ask for directions.
That's right.
Okay. They measure time with events. That part I like, because they do not have a watch. They don't have a clock. They don't have time really, right? As we know it, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, they measure it in events. So us starting our journey, coming into the world as an infant and us leaving as a senior, that's a measurement. That's an event. So that's a measurement of time on spirit side. It's an event, but that's a flash like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that journey, you know, and again, there's a lot of people, you know, they again with the fear, because there's a lot of people, they live in fear of dying, and death isn't, that's just a man-made word is all it is. We don't die. We continue on in a higher form of life. You continue on in higher consciousness, and you continue on in your journey. Right. So it was described to me from spirit side one time as you fall asleep in one bed and you wake up in another. And so the journey continues on in this higher form of life. When you get back to spirit side, what happens is you cease to exist in the physical world. And so you toss aside your vessel like an old t-shirt. You don't care about it anymore. And you continue on in this higher form of life. And once you get back to spirit side, you reunite with your higher consciousness, and you become into the full awareness of everything. You come into the full awareness of the purpose of your journey, and you come into the full awareness of all your previous incarnations and even your future. So, you know, this is important, because when we realize now, again, that time does not exist on spirit side. So if time doesn't exist, that means past, present, and future are all one, right? That's difficult for many people to understand. But past, present, and future are all one, because you are now reunited with all your different states of consciousness and all your different incarnations that you had, right? So everything was in levels within levels within levels, and same with our consciousness. It's in multiple. We have multiple levels of consciousness, right? And so, when we get back there, we come into the awareness that, you know, okay, well, yes, time doesn't matter, but now imagine that you're bringing this new awareness into your journey while you're still here. It changes things for you. It changes the whole perspective of why you're here and what your purpose is. And so these things, these are very simple things to help you naturally heal and to move on in life. And you will see when people start actually walking this talk, they will start to see that they will start removing the stresses from themselves. They will start removing their anxieties. They won't rely on any of that pharmaceutical toxin. You know, they won't rely on any of these things. And they will be able to heal themselves. And in turn, they will allow that energy to start moving through their vessel. They will allow that self-love that they can start working on now. And self-love, it's something that's continual, that you're always going to work on, right? And all people need it, and you're continually going to work on it. So you know, like don't think that it's just, you know, you flip the switch and it's done. Like you continually work on this. But again, the higher you raise in consciousness, the more this becomes part of you. All of these things become part of you. So now we go on to the third part, the higher thought consciousness. So you will see you will see when it comes to trinities, 3 parts. The Trinity has 3 parts. And I was showing something that 2 parts of the Trinity will always stay together. 1 part will come and go. It will constantly be coming and going all the time, right? But it's still connected with us, but it will come and go. But the 2 parts will stay together. So I was asking Spirit Side this question. I said, so which part of the Trinity of those 3 states of consciousness is the part that comes and goes? And they said it's a higher thought consciousness. And it's because the physical mind keeps interfering, because people can't stop the thoughts. They get these thoughts, these cyclical thought processes in their mind that keep repeating over and over and over again. And they start creating these scenarios in their head of, oh, I should have done this, or I should have said this, or whatever. Like maybe they had a confrontation with somebody and, they go, oh, yeah, well, I should have said this to them. And then they carry this energy over and over and over again. They keep manifesting it in their mind. And it's actually very damaging to their physical vessels because it starts creating these chemicals in the body that are very unhealthy for the body, very damaging to the body, right? And so when you learn to start connecting the higher thought consciousness and start working with it, you can start to remove these thought processes from your mind and you can start to heal yourself even more. And again, this will help with the self-love and the connection to the higher consciousness because you're separating these physical attributes, these fear-based emotions, because a lot of these thought processes that people have in their mind that they keep them awake all night long, or, they can't sleep, or they just all day long, they're thinking about something. These are all fear-based emotions again. So like, when if you have fear present, you can't have that love present. You can't have the self-love present. So you have to be able to remove that fear out of the thought processes. So you can work with your higher thought consciousness and you can say, if there's something that's really bothering you that can't let go, you can ask your higher thought consciousness, can you please remove this thought from me? I no longer need it. It no longer serves me. And I've seen it happen like this. Instantly, it felt like this plug was pulled and it was drained out of your head and it was gone, right? And some people, they may need to work with it a bit and they may need to ask multiple times for it to happen, but keep asking. Again, it doesn't matter how long it takes, right? Some people will see this instantly. Some people will see this happen instantly. Some people, it will take a bit of practice with them. But eventually, when you start working with these 3 states of consciousness, you're going to start changing your vibration and you're going to start healing and you're going to start allowing that self-love to flow through you. You're going to start allowing that source consciousness to flow through you. And that source consciousness is important because that's where we come from. That's what we are, source consciousness, right? We are source. And
So we need to realize who we are. Let me say that back again.
Yes, we are source consciousness. We are all one. I can't tell you how many times I have heard them tell me that we are one. We come as one voice. We come as one knowledge, one consciousness. That's just so profound, like, and that we are all one. So people need to realize this on their physical journeys while they're down here, when they're going around attacking each other and criticizing each other and everything else. It's like you're just criticizing yourself because we come from one consciousness. We need to move out of these vibrations and stop treating people this way. Because if we want to go around and judging and criticizing other people in this world, we become the war and not the peace. And so, we need to move out of this. We need to start treating everybody with respect. It doesn't matter what color somebody's skin is or what belief system they have or whatever. It doesn't matter. Let it all go. Just be just be just be who you are and who we are meant to be. And that is higher consciousness beings. So when people want to start working with this, and if they begin to realize that, this is a whole new level of self-awareness. And so when people become aware of what they are and who they are, then they will start to grow spiritually on their journey. And the thing is, it doesn't cost you a dime. And anybody can do this. And I don't care who you are. Any part of the world, you can do this. It doesn't matter who you are or where you came from. And it's all there. It's all part of you. And you came with this as part of your toolkit. Absolutely. You came into this planet with this.
Marc, before we finish, could you please tell us about your books? How can we connect with you also? And of course, this will not be the only program we're doing. There is much to say, but tell us about your books, please.
I got a couple different books. I got Perfect Mind, Perfect Soul, and the Trinity Files. And I'm doing some rework on Perfect Mind, Perfect Soul right now. It was the first book I released, and I'm about to re-release it with some new information in it. I'm updating it for current times is what I'm doing. And then the Trinity Files is already out. You can go to my website at genuinethunder.com. And all the links are there. If you want to, anybody that wants to connect with me, they can hit the contact page, or if they want the links to where the Trinity Files is, the links are on there. There's another book that is in the works also. It's not ready yet, but it's a lot of work to get it done, but it's going to be even bigger than the rest. But it's a progression. The first book is sort of like an introductory to spirit side book, and the next book, Trinity Files, is more into the higher consciousness side of it.
Whoa. Well, we have to realize who we are first. Then we have to start loving ourselves and connecting with the right people, because you give us some ideas about how to reconnect and of course do the exercise, but we need to realize that we really need to reconnect with ourselves, because as you said, the connection is there. Yes. But the problem is so many inputs and so many things that are going on day in, day out, which we start to grow cold probably, and we tend to somehow disconnect. So that's very important to reconnect. Mark, thank you so much.
It's all
Please,
awareness.
go ahead.
It's all awareness. Coming into the awareness, there's two keys. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got you to leave you at this. There's two keys. There's the awareness, and then there's the acceptance. So the awareness of who you are, and then accepting who you are. And that's a spirit entity on a physical journey. And we are all spirit entities on a physical journey.
Absolutely, whether we believe it or not, because sometimes when I sit down and talk to some friends of mine about certain things, they go like, what?
Yeah.
We need to realize who we are, right?
But you're planting seeds, right? You're planting seeds with them, and you're there helping them on their journey, because you need to plant seeds for them. And some people won't accept it from you. And so, sometimes you just need to plant the seeds and let somebody else water them for you. So sometimes somebody else will come along at a later date and time to help them out on their journey, right? Because they may not be willing to accept it from you, but you've fulfilled your obligation with them by just planting that little seed with them. So it doesn't matter what people say. Don't listen to it, right? I've had people try to criticize me over the years. I just walked away shaking my head, and it's like, one day you'll learn. That's right.
As you said, you planted the seed. Who knows? Maybe somebody else in a couple of years come and maybe say the same words or whatever, and the seed starts working. You never know. You never know. But the thing is, please, let's do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so very much, Mark. And as I said, thank you for your time, but thank you because I invited you again and you said yes already. And there are so many things that we need to learn. And thank God we're here. Thank God this is a planet school. And guess what? We are the students. So thank you so very much. And thank you all for watching us. This has been another episode of Healing Arts Academy My Way. This is Ariel Zvi saying, see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Ariel.
It has been my pleasure. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye.
See you later.